Hey there, it's CJ Willie, and I'm cracking a pack. Today is pack number 1 from my Magic the Gathering Zendikar Rising bundle. The focus of the video is what is your pick? As I crack the pack, I will discuss which card would be my pack 1 pick 1. My viewpoint will be from a very casual Magic the Gathering player perspective. It will not be a Pro Tour grinder or even Friday Night Grinder take. It will be a kitchen table draft, having fun with friends' opinion. Check out the preview video on my Zendikar Rising bundle. I have added the link to the preview video in the description below. Alright, let's get to cracking pack number 1. Synchronized Spellcraft, 5 mana, 4 and a red, instant. Synchronized Spellcraft deals 4 damage to target creature and X damage to that creature's controller, where X is the number of creatures in your party. In Limited, Party was a tough mechanic to pull off. What I found with Synchronized Spellcraft was 4 damage to target creature and usually 2 damage to that creature's controller. Tazim Royal Mage, 2 mana, 1 and a blue, Merfolk Wizard at 2/1. Has Kicker, you can pay 4 generic mana. When Tazim Royal Mage enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. I found more often than not I was playing Tazim Royal Mage for 2 mana as a 2/1. There were a couple of times where I was able to get an instant or sorcery back into my hand, but by then I was way behind in the game. Farsight Adept, 3 mana, 2 and a white, Core Wizard at 3/3. When Farsight Adept enters the battlefield, you and target opponent each draw a card. I am not a fan of Farsight Adept at all. One thing that I hate in Magic is playing a card that allows my opponent to draw a card. Oblivion's Hunger, 2 mana, 1 and a black, instant. Target creature you control gains indestructible until end of turn. Draw a card if that creature has a +1/+1 counter on it. Oblivion's Hunger was fantastic in the black-green +1/+1 counters deck. Even outside of that deck, having a 2 mana spell that gave your creature indestructible won a lot of combat. Reclaim the Waste, single green mana, sorcery, Kicker for 3 generic. Search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. If this spell was kicked, search your library for 2 basic land cards instead of 1. Reclaim the Waste was a great card in the blue-green Kicker deck. The only drawback was you couldn't put one of the lands directly onto the battlefield. Spitfire Legak, 4 mana, 3 and a red, Lizard at 3/4. As landfall, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, Spitfire Legak deals 1 damage to each opponent. That incremental ping damage did add up, and there were a couple of games that I won because Spitfire Legak gave me 2 or 3 added points of damage. Nahiri's Binding, 3 mana, 1 generic, 2 white, enchantment or enchant creature or planeswalker, enchanted permanent can't attack or block, and its activated abilities can't be activated. This was a really good common in white to shut down your opponent's creatures, and if they're lucky enough, shut down their planeswalker. The drawback was that it had 2 white pips in the converted mana cost, but if you're going heavy white, Nahiri's Binding was an auto-include. Skyclave Squid, 2 mana, 1 and a blue, squid at 3/2, has Defender, also has Landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, Skyclave Squid can attack this turn as though it didn't have Defender. A 3/2 for 2 is okay. Having Defender sets it way back, and even if you've played a land, you're attacking with a 3/2 that's going to be taken out by 2 2s and 2 1s. Tuk Tuk Rubble Fort, 3 mana, 2 and a red, wall at 0/3. It has Defender and Reach. Creatures you control have haste. This is a card that I wanted to like. You'd play it on turn 3. Every creature after that you play has haste. This was usually the last card I would cut in any deck where I was running red. First uncommon is Shadow Stinger, 3 mana, 2 and a black, Vampire Rogue at 1/4. Tap another untapped rogue you control. Shadow Stinger gains Death Touch until end of turn. Whenever Shadow Stinger deals combat damage to a player, that player mills 3 cards. I was able to build a couple of mill decks that centered around Shadow Stinger, and there were plenty of rogues that I could play that would allow Shadow Stinger to be unblockable. Relic Vial, 3 generic mana artifact, 2 generic, tap, sacrifice a creature, draw a card. As long as you control a cleric, Relic Vial has, whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life, and you gain 1 life. Relic Vial felt a little slow to me. There were some games where I was able to sacrifice creatures, draw a card, but I was never able to get it put together with enough clerics to make a difference. It did give me card advantage, but it never seemed to give me that extra oomph to win the game. Final uncommon is Sejiri's Shelter, 2 mana, 1 white, instant. Target creature you control gains protection from the color of your choice until end of turn. It was weaker than Feat of Resistance because it didn't give a +1/+1 counter to your creature, but having the ability to either protect your creature or in a pinch, you needed a land drop, you could play the other side and have white mana on your following turn. Okay, well, we get a great rare or mythic rare in pack 1. We have Wayward Guidebeast. Single red mana, beast at 2/2, has trample, it has haste. Whenever Wayward Guidebeast deals combat damage to a player, return a land you control to its owner's hand. This is not a great rare. I definitely don't want to play it on turn 1. I don't want to set myself back having to return a land I control because I've dealt combat damage. There was one spot where I did find this to be very useful. When I got to the point that I didn't need additional land and I was okay bouncing a land back to my hand, in that narrow framework, Wayward Guidebeast was okay, but it definitely was not a great 1-drop. And we have a foil, Angel Heart Protector, 3 mana, 2 white, human cleric at 3/2. When Angel Heart Protector enters the battlefield, target creature you control gains indestructible until end of turn. It's a creature that can enter the battlefield at any point after turn 3. You can put that ability on a bigger, beefier creature. Your creature gets to stick around, and hopefully you either deal combat damage to your opponent or you take out one of their creatures. And then we have a full art swamp and one of the double modal faced checklist cards. My pack 1 pick 1 out of this pack is going to be Shadow Stinger. I think it's a really strong uncommon that if you pack 1 pick 1, you can build around it. There's plenty of rogues in both blue and black that you can build yourself a pretty good mill deck that has some secondary rogue abilities that will get you to the finish line if your mill plan peters out. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did like it, please subscribe and share. Take some time to tell me in the comment section what was your favorite card or best card out of the pack. Until next time, I'm back to crack pack number 2 from my Magic the Gathering Zendikar Rising bundle in What is Your Pick?